Well, as you can see, Mark and I are setting off on a journey.
We are indeed. And as we go on our journey, we're going to explore some of the journeys that people in the Christmas story made. Why don't you come with us?
You okay?
Oh, Stuart, I'm exhausted. I don't know how much more I've got on me.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, I tell you what, just have a seat. I'll sit on that bollard for a minute.
Okay.
I'll be back in a minute. There you go.
Oh, Stuart, that's so kind of you.
That might help.
Oh, it's my favourite as well.
Yep, good. There you go.
Stuart, this is our first stop in Eyemouth.
Yep.
How much further have we got to go?
Well, it's quite a few miles. We are going all the way to Bamborough.
Bamborough? I'm not sure I can do that, Stuart. I think it's impossible.
Well, that's interesting, because the first of our Christmas journeys is the journey that Mary and Joseph took. And that was a very long and very difficult journey, and they didn't think that they would, well, Mary certainly didn't think that she would manage that journey at all.
It took days to get here. It's a dangerous journey from our home in Nazareth to Bethlehem, and with me being so pregnant, it was really tough. But the Roman Emperor wanted us all to be counted, so we had to come. When we arrived, it was so busy there were no guest rooms, so we ended up in here. I started feeling pains and I knew the baby was coming, and here he is finally. I've waited months to meet you, my precious child, but we have waited hundreds of years for you to arrive. It's him, you know, the promised one, the Messiah. He's going to save our people. He's going to save all the people. That's what the angel told me. Life was fine, you know. Joseph and I were ready to be married, and then the angel appeared. What a shock. Life changed right then. The angel said I was to have a baby boy, to call him Jesus. He said my baby would be the Son of God and be the great King. I don't know what this really means for us, for him, for me, but I'm up for it. Go. It's okay.
These stories always make me wonder, and wondering is a very important thing to do. Now, the angel said that this baby was going to save people. I wonder what that meant. Shall we go?
Let's carry on. That's good to stop. You know, I love to see the way other people keep their sheep. Interesting.
Absolutely. You've got a fair few sheep, have you?
Not as many as that, Mark, no. Just a few, really, yeah.
No fancy being a full-time shepherd?
Well, do you know, I think being a shepherd is a really difficult job. I think it's really demanding. I couldn't do it, to be honest. No, I couldn't do it.
Tough.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly, our next journey in the Christmas story is the shepherds. Their journey was a lot shorter than Mary and Joseph's, but just as life-changing.
This is awesome. They said he'd be here and they said we'd find him. And they were right, they were. It must have been real. I thought it was going to be just another ordinary night, like all of the others, sitting here by the fire with the other guys, watching the sheep, having a little laugh. And then there it was, a man, sort of. Don't be afraid, he said. Today, in the town of Bethlehem, David's town, a Saviour has been born. He is the promised one, the Messiah, the Lord. And here is how you know I'm going to be telling you the truth. You will find a baby wrapped in strips of cloth and lying in a manger. Suddenly, there was loads of them everywhere, all singing and giving thanks to God. I can hardly believe it. We ran all the way we did. I mean, how could we not? It was the quickest journey I've ever made to the town. And there he was, the baby in a manger, and it turns out we were the first ones to know. Us, the shepherds, visited by actual angels with a real message from God. I should go tell the people. I need to tell all of the people. He's here.
Of course, 2,000 years ago, shepherds were really considered unimportant people. I wonder why God chose shepherds to be the first ones to see that his son had been born.
Interesting question, Stuart.
Well done, Mark. We've made it. We've got to the Scotland-England border.
Here we are,
Fantastic.
Stuart.
Yeah.
And look, the next bit's really easy because it's straight down the A1 to Berwick.
Oh, it's fantastic. Mark, I was just thinking, the next Christmas story that we want to tell involves wise men. Now, they travelled probably across many borders. They went through many countries to get to their destination. Now, they studied maps and charts, but they weren't looking at roads. They were looking at the stars in the sky.
And there it was, as clear as anything. We've studied these skies for many years, and we never expected this. A new star, and the start of an incredible journey that led us here. Our ancient writings told us that star meant the birth of a new king in the land of the Israelite people, a king of huge importance for the world who's been promised for many hundreds of years. There was nothing for it but to find him and to honour him. And so off we set, my companions and I, laden with gifts for this king. We journeyed day after day, week after week, across the desert sands. Oh, it was a long and difficult route. And then we arrived in Jerusalem, the great city of the Israelites, the home of their kings. We made our way to the palace, but to our amazement, there was no newborn king to be found. Herod, the current king, advised us that their writings told of a king to be born in a small town named Bethlehem, which is where you find us now, and which is where we found him. Unexpectedly glorious, an extraordinary child in an ordinary family in an ordinary town. But there is no doubt the great king is here.
Now I wonder what the wise men thought when they discovered this incredible baby, not at the palace, but in a very ordinary place.
Well, we can think about that while we ride on.
Let's go. These are good chips, Stuart.
They're very good. Yep.
And what a good place to eat them. I love the ramparts here at Berwick. They're amazing.
I was just reading on a notice board over there. I mean, these walls are I think, over 500 years old.
Wow.
I mean, they were built at a time when there was a power struggle going on between the kings of England and the kings of Scotland, fighting over who owned Berwick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Now, our next bit of the Christmas story involves a king who was fighting for his power. His journey was more in his own head, but he made a discovery that really worried him.
What a journey this has been. A troubling journey in my mind. I've made a terrible discovery. The birth of a promised king, the Messiah that my people have been waiting hundreds of years for. Why is he being born now while I am king? I hope they're wrong. But even as if it's true, I am the king. I'm not giving this up without a fight. It was those strangers from the east that informed me. I heard they were looking for a king. They'd seen his star rising in the skies and they'd come to honor and worship him. Am I not worthy enough of honor? My advisors assured me that if this is the promised Saviour, he'll have been born in Bethlehem. So I've sent the so-called wise men there to find him. If he's there, they are to report back to me so that I may worship him. I've nothing to fear. I can get rid of him.
It's not a nice bit of the story, this one. Herod's so worried about losing his power that he says he's going to get rid of this new baby king. I wonder what he's going to do.
Doesn't bear thinking about, Mark.
No. Let's go, shall we?
Yep.
Well, we've made it. Here we are in Bamborough after a long and very exciting journey.
Yeah, and it's looking particularly lovely.
It's looking great.
And Mark, that completes our journey into Christmas, if you like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it pretty much does. And look what we've discovered as we've been having a look around. A giant nativity scene. Models of all the characters in that Christmas story, whose journeys we've been exploring as we've travelled today. Whew, it's getting pretty cold, Stuart, isn't it?
It is rather. I'll tell you what, can you manage one more short bike ride? Because I live not far away.
Ooh.
So, cup of tea by the fire?
Cup of tea by the fire would be wonderful, Stuart.
Let's do it.
Now, it's always good to arrive home after a long journey. How amazing must it have been for Mary and Joseph and Jesus to arrive back after their journey that took them all the way to Bethlehem and eventually even to Egypt.
It seems like an age since we were home here in Nazareth. It's good to be back. I thought it was a big deal going to Bethlehem all that time ago with Mary pregnant, but then we had to run away to Egypt when Jesus was small because King Herod sent soldiers to try and get rid of him. But I saw an angel again and he warned me to get away with Mary and Jesus. Anyway, Herod's gone now. He died recently. To think, our boy, so important, that the king wanted to get rid of him. Now it's no secret. I didn't choose this. At first I didn't want it. Well, I actually couldn't believe it. I thought Mary had let me down, destroyed everything we were working towards, and dreamt up a crazy story about angels and God. But when the angel visited me the first time, I knew it was true. And with everything that has happened since, I know for sure our little boy is something incredible. He's changed our world, and now I'm sure he's going to change it for everyone.
As Christians, we believe that Jesus being born did change our world.
And that is why we celebrate Christmas, as the story of God being born as one of us.
And it's because of that, the story of Jesus, who he was and is, continues to change lives today.
As it did for the people that we've heard about in our story as we've journeyed.
Thank you for travelling with us on our journey into Christmas.
We hope that you've learned something about some of the people in the Christmas story and why Jesus is so important to so many people all around the world today.
So, happy Christmas. Mince pie, Mark?
Thank you.